Oh, hello, my Bill 5000 Nation. How is everyone doing today? We are back with a Mr. Ballin video, and this one is actually requested by a viewer, and it is titled, "She Tried to Hide It, but That Made It Worse. The Circleville Letters." All right, let's get into it. Go ahead and turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cut up with someone special. Let's get spooky.
There is a town in central Ohio called Circleville. It's a population.
He's not wrong. I live in southern Ohio. I've been to Circleville.
Of maybe 10,000 people. It's very modest, blue collar, totally obscure. Unless you maybe have relatives from Circleville or.
I bet more people have heard of Circleville than where I'm from. Well, aren't in Ohio. Yeah. Let's put it like this. When you're going down the highway, you go past it. It's on your left-hand side if you're going towards Portsmouth. If you're doing the speed limit, which is 60, I do believe, and you fart and sneeze at the same time, you pass it. You never know it was there. Yep.
You are from the area, there's a good chance you've never heard of Circleville. Their big claim to fame is their pumpkin show that they've been hosting every year since 1903. But if you're a fan of unsolved mysteries, there's a pretty good chance you've heard of Circleville, because it played host to one of the strangest mysteries that played out in American history that started all the way back in 1976, and depending on your viewpoint, still persists to this day. Before we get into today's story, if you're a
Did he say like 1970 something and still going on to this day? Hold on. What? How? When did he say it started? Say back just a little bit.
American history that started all the way back in 1976, and depending on your viewpoint, still persists to this day. Before we get into today's story,
what the hell was that? That's a long time for something to be going on. 1976, 30 plus 20. That's almost 50 years, bro.
If you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious, then you come to the right channel, because that's the focus of my channel, and I upload 3 to 4 times a week. And so if that's something you're interested in, I would ask you to gently bash the like button and then subscribe to this channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my weekly 3 or 4 uploads.
Oh yeah, this must be an older one, because it's still 3 or 4 uploads. You know, starts with 4 or 5, then goes 3 or 4, 2 or 3, 1 or 2, and then you disappear for a couple of weeks. Mr. Ballin, you knucklehead.
All right, let's get into the story.
Oh, and if you're wondering why I'm saying so, I've not seen none of his older ones. I haven't. I'm not even gonna lie. I love Mr. Ballin to death. I started watching him when the pandemic started and everything. I really liked, the whole storytelling. And I would just let it play in the background while I did things. And then I noticed, every day I was staring at the TV a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And then I was hooked. I've never really sat down and watched a lot of the older ones. So thank you very much for suggesting this. I have not seen it. This is different.
In 1976, Mary Gillespie lived in Circleville, Ohio, with her husband, Ron Gillespie, and Mary was a bus driver for the local school. And one day, she came home from work, and she found a letter that was addressed specifically to Mary. It had no return address, and it was postmarked from Columbus, Ohio. The letter effectively said,
"We know you're having an affair with the superintendent of the school. You must stop and come clean and tell your husband. If you don't, bad things are going to happen to you. We're watching your house. We know you have children."
This is Didn't we do a story almost like this? Not the Watcher. Is this another Watcher? Ooh. I don't want to finish this because that would creep me the hell out. I just now got to the point where I can go outside without looking over my shoulder. Oh, shit.
Now, Mary was obviously frightened. She was scared for her kids. She was scared for herself.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't really know how to react to this letter, so she just ignored it and hoped that it was a hoax and that it would just stop. But a week goes by, and she gets another letter. This letter was even more threatening, saying that
If you don't stop this now, we are going to harm you. This is not a joke.
Mary decided to ignore that
What?
letter too.
What? If you don't stop sleeping around, we are going to hurt you tremendously. We're going to twat punch you. Pow. I'm laughing now. I have a feeling this is going to take a really upturn. Crap. Okay, look, I'm sorry if my laughter does offend some people. I have this disorder. I laugh. I laugh when I get nervous. I laugh when I get scared. I laugh at very inappropriate things because I don't know why. That's just my go-to thing. I laugh. So, just because a story is serious and I'm laughing about does not mean it's not a serious story, and I'm not taking it seriously. I just laugh a lot.
But literally the next day, her husband, Ron, woke up one morning and got the mail and found a letter addressed to him. The letter had no return address and was postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, just like the first two letters sent to Mary. The letter to Ron said that his wife was having an affair with the superintendent of the school, and that if he didn't confront her and get her to admit the truth and get it to stop, that Ron's life would be in
Grave danger.
Ron is horrified to read this letter. He hadn't suspected anything of his wife. This was very uncharacteristic. And so he went to Mary and he said, "Hey, I got this letter. What is this?"
It has to be someone who knows him, right? I mean, in the whole Watcher situation, it had to be someone from around there that was keeping an eye on the house and all that stuff, and then they eventually had to sell it and all that. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I forget the title of it right now. If I can, I'll tag it up on one of these here corners. But in the Watcher one, like, someone would write a note, leave it in their mailbox, like not even mail it, just leave it in the mailbox, and it described their kids, their kids' nicknames. Which, I mean, if you're close to the family, it's not hard to know the kids' nicknames. But in a whole new neighborhood where they knew nobody, and someone is writing them and telling them how many kids they got, how old they are, what school they're in, their nicknames, and that they will hurt them. I mean, that's out there. And now this one here, I just think that's weird. It has to be someone who knows them, right? Someone who doesn't know them, at least personally, isn't going to be able to be like, "Oh, by the way, I know your old lady's going with some other dude." Right? I mean,
I've gotten two of these letters. I've just been ignoring it. I didn't know what to do. She aggressively denied any accusation that she was having an affair. She said, "I'm not doing any of that." And so Ron believes his wife and says, "You know what?
like you should.
I don't know what this is, but I believe you. Let's ignore this. This will go away. I don't know what this is, but it will go away." A week later, Ron receives another letter addressed to him, no return address, postmarked from Columbus, Ohio. This letter said,
"Ron, it's been a week and you haven't done anything. You have to get her to admit the truth. Otherwise, not only are we going to put your life in danger, we're also going to broadcast what she's doing all over town on billboards, on radio, and on TV."
So at this point, Ron and...
What? Like, are they videotaping her cheating? I mean, is that what they're putting on TV and pictures of her and stuff? Okay. Billion and one questions. Hold on, let's run this down real fast. Okay, billboards. Are they just going to put up words, or are they going to put up a picture of her doing the D? TV. Do they have video of her doing the do? Because if they got pictures and video, then it's someone close. It's got to be. It's got to be.
Mary are scared. Ron is still standing behind his wife. He believes his wife that she has not had an affair, that this is just some horrible hoax. But they're scared. But they don't really want to go to police yet. They kind of want this to just go away. So their first step is, let's tell some people in our inner circle just to kind of put this out there and see what other people think. And so the three people that were closest to Ron and Mary were Ron's sister, Ron's sister's husband, named Paul Freshour, and Paul's sister. So it's a little confusing, but those are the players here. And so while Mary and Ron are telling, their inner circle about this anonymous set of letters they've gotten and all the threats involved, Mary starts to think that she might know who's been sending the letters. She has an idea of who it is. Now, we unfortunately don't know who this person is. It's been left out of anything I can find online. But she decides that it's in their best interest to proactively...
Did he just say he couldn't figure out who the person was either? Like, all odd, anyway? What?
Send this person a letter and basically say, you've got to stop, or we're going to pursue legal action. And initially, when they started sending the letters, while it's unclear if they got any sort of response from this person, the letters, the anonymous letters, did stop. But that would all change in August of 1977, when Ron was home one night with the kids, Mary was out, and Ron receives a phone call. He picks up the phone call, and his kids would say that his entire demeanor changed. He went from calm and collected to angry, furious. He's talking to someone, and it's unclear what was said. We don't know.
So now they telemarketing him? That's what's up. What would you guys do in this situation? You don't even want to know what I would do. I'd burn the whole house down and move. That's what I would do. You have to, at this point.
What was said or who he was talking to, but when he hung up, he tells his kids that I'm going to go confront the person who's been writing these letters. And so Ron grabs his pistol, gets in his pickup truck, and blazes off down the road. It's like he knew exactly where he needed to go. But literally minutes later, it was discovered that Ron had died. He crashed into a tree, and he died on impact. Now, nobody else was found at the scene. I mean, the sheriff and the police unit that went in to investigate, it was just...
What? Ooh. I got goosebumps now. I don't like this video no more. Curse you for suggesting. Oh no. Poor Ron.
Ron in a ditch against a tree, but they found that he had fired one shot out of his pistol. They don't know who he was shooting at or what he was shooting at, but he fired a shot before he crashed. The sheriff initially suspected foul play, but the sheriff changes his mind. He says, you know what? Ron was drunk. Ron was 1.5 times over the legal limit. So he was drunk driving and he crashed. But that didn't make any sense because Ron's family said Ron does not drink. And his kids said he hadn't had anything to drink that day. So at this point, the story starts getting very bizarre. After Ron's death, hundreds of other letters, anonymous letters, no return address, postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, are sent to residents all over Central Ohio. Not just Circleville, but all over Central Ohio. And the letters took a turn. Instead of being accusatory of Mary, although there was still some of that, it was the sheriff in Circleville is covering something up. And it was around this time that people started to speculate that perhaps the writer's agenda is not as clear. Initially, it seemed like they were targeting, Mary and Ron. And then when Ron is taken down, they're defending Ron. So following Ron's death, Mary is scared for her life. She just watched her husband die.
I'm so confused. I don't know how to feel right now. Okay, so the letters start, and they're initially messing with Mary and Ron, right? Mary's a hoe. She's sleeping around. You need to do something about it, or we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you both. And now someone who Mr. Bond says, wasn't a drinker. The kids even said he hadn't drunk, is now somehow drunk. One bullet missing from his gun. He fired one bullet, and he is also dead after wrecking his truck severely. What the fuck?
As a result of this horrible situation.
Sorry, I forgot what I was saying. And he's dead. And now the letters start back up, and they're defending the person that they was originally threatening, and now they're going after the sheriff.
And all these letters are pouring in all over central Ohio with the same kind of nasty language about her and her supposed affair with the superintendent of the school. The letters are insinuating that the sheriff is covering something up with her husband's death. Her kind of dirty laundry is being aired out by this anonymous writer all over central Ohio. And this goes on for years. And so finally, in 1983, Mary is at a breaking point, and she finally admits that she was having an affair with the superintendent of the school. Now, she claims that it happened, or it started, after the first letters arrived, that it was just a crazy coincidence, but whether or not that's true, it's kind of secondary, and she thought that that would stop the letters. That the first thing that this person wanted was for her to admit this and stop this affair. So she comes out and she admits it and she puts an end to it, thinking that's going to do it.
Nope.
But that didn't do anything. It actually made it worse. So in 1983, after she admits...
Worse than Rod being killed, evidently, because he wasn't drunk, his car was wrecked, he's dead, he shot a bullet. No one really freaking knows. Now the... I don't like none of it. I don't. This, I don't like. No. I'm never checking my mail again.
The superintendent, she's on her bus route driving the kids to school, and she starts noticing these billboards and signs all over her route condemning her for her actions and saying she's this horrible person. And so she got mad. She went from being kind of a victim and scared to being mad. And so one day, in 1983, she pulls over when she sees one of these signs, and she gets out, she rips it out, and then when she puts it down, she notices there's a box that's a part of this kind of billboard contraption. She kind of looks inside, and there is a loaded gun that has a wire wrapped around the trigger, and the slack's been pulled out of it. Like it's literally ready to fire. And had she been standing at a slightly different angle when she pulled down the sign, it would have fired the gun, and it would have shot her. So she calls police.
What?
Police show up. They do an investigation.
This is really freaking elaborate, y'all. Like, what?
Investigation, and they look at the weapon, and they can tell that someone very poorly tried to etch off the serial numbers on the weapon so that it couldn't be traceable. But they were able to lift the serial number, and they were able to trace it back to its original owner, who was none other than Paul Freshour. And so the police go to Paul, and they're like, "Is this your pistol?" And Paul was totally cooperative when he was approached. He's like, "Yes, I didn't report it, but that gun was stolen from me. I didn't set that booby trap." The sheriff, who was the same one.
That gun was stolen from me, but I didn't report it. That's what they all say.
who investigated Ron's death, he didn't buy it, and so they made him submit to a handwriting test. It apparently totally swayed the jury. They were like, you know what? Paul's the guy. And he was found guilty and sentenced to 7 to 24 years in jail. And so Paul goes to jail. And while he's in solitary confinement, more letters are sent out all over central Ohio. And they're all being postmarked out of Columbus, Ohio, even though he is in solitary confinement in Lima, Ohio. But no one wanted to listen to that. Everybody believed that Paul was the guy, even though he's like, how could I have been writing these letters? And so for 7 years, these letters are sent all over central Ohio, accusing the sheriff of this cover-up and condemning Mary for what she did. And then when Paul is up for parole, after 7 years, he stands before the parole board and they deny him parole on the grounds that he was sending these letters. Even though he's like, how could I have been? I've been in solitary confinement most of the time. But they were like, too bad, you wrote the letters, see ya. And so he goes back to jail. And it was at this point that Paul he gets a letter. This letter was taunting Paul because they apparently had known that he was denied parole based on him being the writer. And instead of it being written in the first person, like I, it was written we. We are keeping you in jail for as long as we can. Basically saying, haha, we know you didn't do it, but we are going to keep you in jail for as long as we can. And they even said,
that booby trap is not the only one. It's only a matter of time before somebody else finds one, and then you're going to get blamed for that too.
But following that letter,
how are you going to blame someone for writing letters and putting up booby traps when he's in? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Oh, you was in solitary confinement, not able to do shit. We mail out your mail, so we would know, but ain't like they let him out of jail or prison to go to a freaking post office itself and mail this stuff. The prison's mailing it. The prison would know. That's bull.
The letter stopped. And so for 3 years, Paul remains in jail until he's up for parole again. And since there haven't been any more letters and no one found any more booby traps, Paul is granted parole. Paul would maintain his innocence all the way until 2012 when he passed away. So in 1993, which was the same year that Paul was released from prison, the very popular TV show Unsolved Mysteries decides to cover this story. As soon as they are beginning to do research on it, they receive a letter from an anonymous person with no return address, postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, written in the same style handwriting as the Circleville writer. It said,
if you come to Ohio, you El Sickos will pay.
And so the staff and crew of this show had a decision to make. Is this a credible threat or not? Do we actually pursue this or not? And they ultimately decided that they had to do it now. And so they go into Ohio and they do their own research and they start questioning people that were involved in this case. And they come across a crucial piece of evidence that more than likely could have potentially kept Paul from going to jail. They discovered that there was another witness that was never brought forward despite she made herself available. She was not used in the trial and was basically cast aside. But she was also she was a bus driver. And she was on the same route as Mary. And before Mary went to that booby trap sign and ripped it down and almost was shot, this bus driver was ahead of Mary. And when she passed by, she saw there was a yellow, flashy El Camino sports car parked near the sign. And standing outside of the car near the sign was a man who did not match the description of Paul Freshour at all. And when she was interviewed by Unsolved Mysteries in 1993, they were like, really? The sheriff? Nobody wanted to talk to you about this? And she's like, yeah, I told them that I'm available and no one wanted to talk to me about it. So Unsolved Mysteries, they air the episode and nothing comes of it. They don't get any more threats. There's nothing. It just gets aired. It's very interesting. And that's that. Really, at this point, you're left with a collection of people, the police included, that fundamentally believe that there is no mystery. It was Paul Freshour. He's the guy that wrote these letters, that set up the booby traps. He went to jail for it, and that's that. But there's another group of people that believe Paul didn't do this, that he went to jail for something he didn't do. And one of those people is a journalist by the name of Martin Yant. And so Martin, along with a large number of people, believe there are 3 additional suspects that should have been looked into or should be looked into now that could have been the writer. First one is the superintendent of the school, the one that Mary was accused and then admitted to having an affair with. The second was a co-worker of Mary's that apparently was infatuated with her. And then the third one was Paul Freshour's wife. So they were married when the Circleville writer drama unfolded, but they ultimately divorced. She left him and she ended up getting together with another guy. So she's got a boyfriend, and the boyfriend matches the description of the guy standing next to the El Camino at that sign in 1983. And one of this guy's relatives owned a yellow El Camino.
Are you freaking serious? My brain turned to mush.
But nobody ever followed up. The police aren't looking into it. Paul Freshour's the guy, and they're not about to reopen this case. For me, the letters that got sent out all over central Ohio while Paul is in, solitary confinement, to me, that is like the number one thing that makes me doubt that Paul was the guy.
Yeah.
Now, could he have been involved? Certainly.
Possibly.
I think that's definitely possible. But I think that more than likely what we're looking for.
If he was, it was before he went to prison. You're not doing a whole lot while in there unless you're connected like a mofo.
Here is there was more than one writer. There was a whole group of them, but it's just unclear what their agenda was. And the whole thing is just very confusing. There's lots of people involved, lots of drama. It's like the most epic drama that's unfolded in the most obscure place in the country. But it is what it is, and it's certainly a fascinating mystery.
By the most obscure place, do you mean Ohio, or do you mean Circleville? I mean, either will work.
And I would love to hear what your theories are. Was it Paul Freshour? Was it one of the 3 suspects that I just listed off that Martin Yant thinks it was? Or was it something else? I'd love to hear it in the comments. I'll do my best to go through the comments and respond to.
Maybe it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I don't know. Like, this story has turned my brain to mush. Thank you very much, Mr. Baldwin. Okay, so the letters got sent out by the superintendent. Get the superintendent's wife if he was married, girlfriend if he was dating someone, maybe even an ex with, grudges. That other person that was infatuated with her. This ex-sister-in-law and new boyfriend. What if it was all of them? What if they came together and was just like, hey, let's just ruin this fool's life? What happened with the kids? There's so many questions.
As many people as I can. If you enjoyed this story, please gently bash the like button and then.
I'm not going to bash nothing. I refuse. Okay, I love this. This is an amazing. Thank you so much for suggesting this video. I really enjoyed it. I've got like the goosebumps so bad right now. Like, it's horrible. Ooh. Like, I'm not scared. It's just like that heebie-jeebie feeling. Like, ooh, why? I like it. I liked it. I need to know what happens though. Did anything else ever come from this? Sorry, my brain's mush. It is. This sent my brain to mush. All right, y'all. I gotta go. So, everyone. Hey, wait a minute. It's Christmas Eve. I hope everyone has a great Christmas Eve. Hope everyone has an even better Christmas Day. Eat too much. Have way too much fun. and enjoy everyone you can. I'm outie. So, if you enjoyed today's video, think about subscribing. If you're a fan of, hold on. Yeah, I told you, my brain went to mush. I got this. Hold on. Let's redo this. Starting, take 473 right now. All right. So it is officially Christmas Eve. I hope everyone has an amazing Christmas Eve and an even better Christmas Day. I want everyone to eat too much, open too many presents, enjoy your families, all of it. Just go crazy, balls to the wall. Go big or go home. That's how Christmas is. If you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, or deranged, think about subscribing. And if you enjoyed today's video as much as I did, leave a thumbs up. They help my collection of thumbs. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Everyone, enjoy the rest of their Christmas Eve. Enjoy the rest of their Christmas. Enjoy your holiday season. Be safe. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.